Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. We will go ahead and get started in a minute or two. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I will give us one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started as people join. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar. My name is Sarah Reed, and I am the Program Manager for the Climate Mayor's EV Purchasing Collaborative at the Electrification Coalition. We have a great lineup of speakers today, and if you have any questions during the webinar, please put them into the chat or Q&A box. The webinar will be recorded and available following the presentation along with the slides. Today we have Mike Doman from Sourcewell and Matt Gieselhart from NCL Government Capital to talk more about the medium and heavy duty offerings available through the collaborative and how you can finance vehicles to work with your budget. The EC is a nonprofit, nonpartisan advocacy organization that is committed to deploying EVs and reducing dependence on oil. We have a national and economic security focus and are based in DC, but have a largely remote team. So I am based in Sacramento, California. We are a leader in the field and have worked on projects across the US, including accelerator community projects in Northern Colorado and Rochester, New York. We also served as the implementation partner for the Smart Columbus project through the US DOT Smart Cities Challenge and as a technical advisor for the Bloomberg American Cities Climate Challenge. In addition, in 2020, we launched our freight electrification program, as well as working in 5 states on state policy. So today, I want to talk a little bit more about the collaborative, and then we will throw it over to Mike and Matt to talk a little bit more specifically about the offerings and next steps that folks can take if you're interested in the new vendors that are available through Sourcewell. So the collaborative is an effort between us, the EC, Climate Mayors, and Sourcewell. Climate Mayors is a group of over 450 cities committed to demonstrating leadership on all kinds of climate issues, not just electrification. And the EC serves as the technical advisor, while Sourcewell is our cooperative procurement partner. Together, we have come to create this one-stop shop, we like to think of it, for EV transition for all public agencies. Any city, county, port, university, transit authority is eligible to be a part of the collaborative, to receive assistance, and generally to use Sourcewell and become a member of Sourcewell. Mike will talk a little bit more about Sourcewell, but they are located in Minnesota and provide the vehicle contracts for this collaborative. And all of their contracts are competitively bid, and almost any public agency can become a member and purchase from them. So what does the collaborative do? What kind of barriers have we tried to overcome through this program? The collaborative was launched in September 2018 and has reduced many barriers so far for EV transition. For one, using cooperative procurement allows for a reduction in administrative time for folks at cities and other public agencies and lowers the cost of vehicles by aggregating demand. Through the collaborative, you can also lease vehicles, which allows cities and counties to take advantage of some of the federal tax credit, and Matt will talk a little bit more about that. And then the EC is here for any kind of planning, purchasing, implementation, questions, or technical assistance that we can provide to public agencies. Just to name some of the staffing and support resources that we provide, we can help with peer-to-peer connections. We have a network of hundreds of cities and other municipal and public entities that we can connect folks with based on different challenges that they might be having, technical advice, best practices, case studies, leading or connections to vendors, either for charging stations or vehicles, things like leasing, and always are expanding to include new vehicle types. So when we launched 2 years ago, we really focused on light duty vehicles, and in 2020, we're excited to have expanded to many different school bus and medium and heavy duty offerings that we will get into a little bit later today. So what impact has our project had? We are working with 240 cities and counties and universities and ports, school districts to transition 4,000 electric vehicles by the end of next year. And this grows every single day. If you were on the webinar last week with school buses, we've gone up since Thursday. And so far, committed public fleets have already purchased 2,400 vehicles. Making a commitment is really simple, just requires an email to EVSE staff, and we'd be happy to help you facilitate your purchase through Sourcewell or other methods in your particular state. So before I hand it over to Mike, I just want to cover a little bit about why EVs matter now, especially during a global pandemic and budget uncertainty that many of you are facing. They contribute to better overall air quality and long-term health benefits in our communities, and especially disadvantaged communities. They have a reduction of overall operating costs for long-term savings, and that's something that the EC can help with, is calculating total cost of ownership savings for cities and other entities, creative solutions for leasing to reduce costs, and a wide variety of vehicles and charging stations that are available across the country to any public entity, not just folks in certain states. And of course, reducing dependence on oil, because transportation accounts for 70% of the oil that we use. And so to highlight a little bit more about exactly what's available through Sourcewell, I will go ahead and turn it over to Mike Doman now.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. So my name's Mike Doman. I'm a supplier development administrator at Sourcewell. So I'm kind of the point person from Sourcewell that's involved with the Climate Mayor Purchasing Collaborative. So Sarah explained a little bit of who Sourcewell is. We are a public entity based in the state of Minnesota. And what we do is we go out with categories. Like you see on your screen, light duty vehicles, we go out for that category. We solicit that on behalf of our members, which are over 50,000 government, education, and nonprofit entities in the United States and Canada. So we do that on behalf. Because of most of you know, in the government vertical, you have to go through some form of competitive process to purchase equipment, whatever it is that you want to buy. Sourcewell satisfies that process for you. To become a member of Sourcewell, there is no cost and no obligation to buy, and you can do that right on sourcewell-mn.gov and sign up for that. So just kind of a little bit of background on how we do that. Overall, what we wanted to try to accomplish here is take those EV solutions from those awarded suppliers through, on their Sourcewell contracts and put them into a one-stop shop, like Sarah said, on our website, driveevfleets.org. And we've done that with the available suppliers that we have. So first, we'll start off in the light duty vehicle options. And National Auto Fleet Group is a dealer group. They're the awarded supplier. They have roughly 15 different manufacturers under contract, and those manufacturers that have EV solutions or an EV option, we've kind of extracted them and put them on the website. Sometimes they're not available because the OEM hasn't released the new model year, and there's also cutoff dates. So you can see one of the most popular ones out there right now is the 2001 Chevy Bolt. That cutoff date is coming this Thursday. So after this Thursday, probably sometime Friday, we'll take down the pricing for the 2021 Chevy Bolt, replace that with 2021 pricing coming soon. And when Chevy releases that, National Auto Fleet Group gets their pricing, we'll put that back up on the website. So the Chevy Bolt's been pretty popular. The Pacifica Hybrid's been popular, and we're seeing more and more fleets look at the Toyota RAV4. So each of these prices are built on a package price, meaning National Auto Fleet Group has added some options to each of these pricing that's available on the website. So take, for example, the Chevy Bolt. That pricing is with a fast charger, some other options. If your entity or fleet would like to, for instance, remove the back seat, sometimes that's done with the Chevy Bolt, that's doable under the contract, which means the price will probably go lower. If you wanted to add certain options, that price could go higher and follow the guidelines of the contract. So just giving you some options there on your light duty vehicles. We also went out with a category Sourcewell did for EVSE, or charging infrastructure. You'll see those on the right side of your screen. So ChargePoint, Greenlots, LilyPad, and Siemens Webasto have been awarded. A lot of times we get a lot of questions on, I know how to purchase the electric vehicle, right? I have some questions, possibly how far that vehicle goes, but I don't know a lot about the charging infrastructure. The best way forward is to call one of these suppliers. They'll run through their contract with you, how their pricing works, if it's a turnkey, meaning is there installation involved and whatnot. I just wanted to point those out. We threw those on the Drive EV Fleets website also, just as a resource for you, knowing that some fleets out there are going to need that infrastructure also when they buy light duty vehicles. So last week, we also had a webinar on school buses, so I just wanted to mention them in this webinar. Roughly in the springtime, Sourcewell went out with a school bus a solicitation. So we have some that were awarded, and once again, these are the suppliers that were awarded that have EV options. So you have your Bluebird, Lion Electric, Peterbilt buses, and IC Bus. Currently, you will not see IC buses on the website because we're working with them to get over their brochures and whatnot to put that on the Drive EV Fleets website. But a lot of them will contain those Type A, Type B, and Type C buses out there. They also have others, but Peterbilt and Bluebird have those electric chassis available, those electric school buses, and Lion Electric, of course, is totally 100% electric. So with all the configurations there, it's best to reach out to each supplier because you have your federal regulations, and then each state, of course, has your own regulations for school buses. So if you reach out to each supplier, what they'll be able to do is to give you pricing built on those configurations put together. So, but what we're really excited about is just expanding into that medium and heavy duty electric chassis area. We all know we've been waiting for some time that they're coming, right? These models are coming. The OEMs are going to make it. The manufacturers are going to make these electric chassis. Well, this was the year, the last half of 2021, where we really seen some of that. First, let me start with kind of other equipment. So both MadVac and Global are also available on the website. And MadVac is compact sweepers and vacuums, and Global is electric sweepers. They offer electric sweepers. Both have been available for some time on our website. And as these type of equipment come available and their electric models become available, we'll also add those to the website. So let me first start with that. Then we kind of move into that heavy, our medium heavy duty electric chassis arena. And so we're very excited that Peterbilt, Lion Electric, and Kenworth have some models that now the fleets can choose from. So I want to say Peterbilt has their pricing, some pricing up on the Drive EV Fleets website. I think they have, for sure, I know 3 models, if not 4. Lion Electric, once again, is totally electric with all their models. So they've added all their models through their Sourcewell pricing. And Kenworth is like IC Bus. They're in the process of adding their models to our website. once we get that done, I'll just say, because the holidays are coming up, the next 30 days, IC Bus and Kenworth will be on the website. So you'll be able to go under each of those contracts, get the brochure, reach out to the supplier to see kind of what you need in that configuration. All of their pricing is based off of like a base model electric chassis. Those who are familiar with chassis know you usually put something on the chassis, meaning each of these contracts have a mechanism that they use in their pricing, so you can add what I will call a body or an upfit to that chassis. You can see in the pictures below the two with kind of blue in front, those are both Lion. So the one on the far left is the refuse. They've had some turnkey solutions through their electric chassis. And you can see the box truck is the other one. And then on the far right, you'll see another box truck. Those are just examples. You'll want to work with like a Peterbilt or Kenworth or Lion Electric on kind of what you want to put on that chassis, right? Even though that upfit is not going to have line-by-line pricing, their contracts at least address to add something to that base chassis. So your fleet may want different options on that base chassis. Those are available. And those options, so that body or that upfit will fit on that chassis for a turnkey unit for your fleet, for your transportation department, for whatever department that's going to use that. So that's kind of how the medium and heavy duty electric chassis and equipment work. As more become available, because Sourcewell has other class 4 through 8 chassis suppliers, as more become available, then we will add their electric chassis in the mix. And that's the same with the light duty also, and school buses. If more models come out, they can add those to their contracts under the mechanism that they responded with in their contract. So we're kind of excited about 2021. Number one, for we all know that it's not 2020, right? But 2021, because more and more of the manufacturers are going to be releasing some electric version of their chassis, both in the light duty and the medium and heavy duty. So they're expanding on that. We don't see that slowing down anytime soon. One of the big things that ultimately comes out of this is, especially when you're talking about the bigger ticket items. So when you're putting these big class 5, 6, 7 chassis and you're putting something on it, you all know that it's expensive, right? So it's kind of like, how are you going to pay for that? We all understand budgets are going to be tight over the next year, but it's kind of getting that discussion now on, what are there any mechanisms in place that can help us, more conserve our cash or pay for some of these things. So another one of our awarded contracts, Sourcewell, is NC Government Capital, and Matt will talk a little bit about that now.
All right, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. As Mike mentioned, my name is Matt Geislart. I am with NCL Government Capital. We've been working with the Climate Mayors Project for a few years now, working with the EC collaboration. And then we've also been affiliated with Sourcewell for going on 20 years now, back when there's only a few different contracts on there. And our company, what we do is we specialize in municipal leasing and financing solutions. There's a lot of lenders out there. There's a lot of sources that do what we do. I'm not going to sit here and talk everyone blue in the face about how municipal leasing and financing works and different types of it. One thing I do want to just touch base on is, what's a little bit different about us and how we work directly with the collaboration and Sourcewell. One thing that we focus on through this program is how we can add value. Okay, as Mike mentioned, budgets are being cut. They're looking reallocated, scaled back. Purchases are being put on hold. One thing that we want to focus on is if the funds aren't available, but the equipment's still needed, it's a program, a new electric vehicle program that's being implemented to keep that progress moving forward. There are means to pay for it still. A couple of things how we got involved with the climate mares is through the federal tax credit program. We all know that there are federal tax credits available on electric vehicles. Some vehicles still have credits available, some do not. Obviously, federal agencies or government agencies, they have no use for tax credits because they don't pay taxes or they don't file tax returns. What NCL has been able to do, and we've accomplished the last few years, is we're able to monetize those tax credits, meaning that we can apply those tax credits into the form of a lower interest rate back to the customer, in essentially lowering the cost of equipment. But other than just those options, there's multiple ways of funding a project or financing a project. The main thing is how we get involved is being able to talk through that. What's the city trying to do? What's the agency trying to do? What is their overall budget? Have they had funds being cut? We work directly with them. We don't have a set program in place to more or less just let you choose from. We work to find a solution. That's our biggest value add that we try to provide to all of Sourcewell members as well as the vendors. And one of the biggest differentiators, our biggest impact is we do have a contract, a competitively bid and awarded contract with Sourcewell. Okay. What that means is now you know the equipment that you want, you have a way to buy it off of a contract, satisfies all the bid requirements. But by the way, now you have a competitively bid turnkey solution through our Sourcewell contract for the financing aspect of it. Keeps the entire project 100% in compliance, knowing that we can satisfy all bid requirements from the procurement and the financing of it. Next, I just want to go over a couple of quick examples. What are government agencies doing nowadays? What are some examples outside of the box examples? First one that we just completed last week was probably the most common transaction that we've been seeing this year. It's an agency that we've been working with a while. They've been looking to get some new equipment, I believe there's some electric vehicles, some heavy duty equipment, a lot of different things. And it's a project they've been budgeting for a while. However, due to COVID, some of those budgets got cut. Projects got put on hold. But what we were able to do is actually use the money they did have appropriated for it, put it on a delayed payment. What that means is their budget starts in January every year. It's a calendar year budget. We were able to push the payments out till January 1st of 2022. So they didn't have to come out of pocket for any part of the project until another 13, 14 months down the road. Typical loan for us or municipal lease is anywhere from 5 to 6 years. We do 7 years on occasion now. But the uniqueness of this one is actually we had to push this one out a full 10 years for them just to accommodate their budget. So kind of going outside of the box to find a way to make it work is just one of the things that we're able to do through our Sourcewell contract. As we know, some of this equipment switching from gas or normal gas purchases to electric purchases, right now it's coming with a little bit of a higher price tag that can be kind of intimidating to look at, a little bit of a sticker shock. What we want to do is let every agency know that there are ways to still pay for it without having to write a check for it all up front. We're able to spread those costs out in an effective manner. Second example is a nonprofit. Typically, a lot of lenders, they shy from nonprofit agencies. It's something that we've had a lot of success in. We treat it no differently than any other agency. Some of the parameters are a little bit different, but we're still able to work with them in finding solutions. The third example is actually a unique one in the sense that one is a contractor, but more importantly is the uniqueness of it in the sense that it's older equipment. I believe the equipment that they were working with was school buses. They're contracted through the school for school bus hauling kids around. And they had a couple of financial issues that they weren't able to buy newer buses like they always do, but we were able to get them into some school buses that were, I believe at the time, 7 or 8 years old. So used equipment, we view no differently. We're able to lease it the exact same way. But it is something that, you know, we do not shy away from, as we know sometimes used equipment's the only way that agencies can still get the equipment they need and still remain in budget. So those are really a couple of good examples that we've been seeing a lot of lately. The big thing that I want to touch on is just knowing that in light of COVID, in light of a lot of restrictions, you know, projects being on hold, whatever it may be, we just want to let everyone know that if funds have been cut, if funds aren't available, or if, you know, appropriations have been reallocated to different departments, but there are still equipment needs, we just want to let everyone know that there are ways to still pay for it. You know, and we're willing to work with anyone that, you know, has a need for it, and we're able to work directly with them to find a solution. Whatever works best for them, we'll build a solution around it to make sure that you can still get the equipment that you need without having to write a check for it or keep putting it on hold. So with that, you know, there's a lot of things that we can cover on when it comes to municipal leasing and financing. By all means, you know, I do want to make myself available at any point if questions do come up. So thanks, Sarah.
Great, thanks, Matt. Just want to highlight, you know, the collaborative before we get into questions, and I see a couple waiting in there that we also work on case studies that kind of highlight what different cities have done. There are ones up there also on leasing that might be interesting to folks on driveevfleets.org. And just some next steps too. So definitely reach out to us about making a commitment, getting help with any fleet needs that you need, talking to Mike or Matt about actually making a medium or heavy duty electric vehicle a reality, because it might be your first one, and want to make sure we have our contact information up there for folks. So happy to go into questions now. The first one, Mike, I'm going to throw to you. It says, should we work with local vendors, or are there national reps for Peterbilt and Kenworth that specialize in EVs that we should be contacting?
Thanks, Sarah. That's a great question. And I failed to mention that earlier on kind of next steps, right? That if you went out to the website, what are your next steps after you kind of look through, read the brochures, gather some information on maybe what the suppliers have. I'm just going to quickly start with light duty. You should be reaching out to each of the suppliers, and there's contact names out on the website for each of the suppliers. But how it will work, let me give you an overview, is in light duty, everything will be factory ordered through National Auto Fleet Group. So most, if not all the time, it wouldn't go through your local dealership. As we move up to school buses, you're going to want to reach out to those suppliers to get the information on, number one, what state you're in. What they'll probably do is put you in contact with a local dealer or distributor that they use so you can work local. As we move up to like the Peterbilt and Kenworth versions of those, your best bet is also to reach out to that contact person just to make sure that maybe your local dealer is on board to sell through the Sourcewell contract, and that they have an electric version of those chassis available. My guess is those aren't available at every location. Example, every Peterbilt dealership or Kenworth dealership out there. So that's probably the best bet, is just reach out to those main points of contact. What they will do, if it's available, they'll put you in contact with you know, Bob, the local Peterbilt dealer or Kenworth dealer. So that's how it kind of works. Just want to point out with Line Electric too, everything goes direct through Line Electric. There are a couple dealerships out there is all, but most of that will go right through Line Electric.
Perfect, thanks. Question here about charging, because we didn't talk too much about it. So I will cover this a little bit, and then Mike, if there's anything you want to add. So a lot of these new vendors, you know, are very invested in this and willing to help folks figure out the charging needs for such a big vehicle with such a big battery. The EVSE is also here to help with any questions, planning, steps that need to be taken for coming up with a charging solution. And then also Sourcewell will be going out to bid again next year on the charging station category. And a lot has changed in the last couple of years. So we expect a lot more options to be available as well through Sourcewell for some more heavier duty fast charging and other vendors out there. Mike, we've got another question here for you. Do you have any information about electric construction equipment?
Sure. That's another great question. That's an area I haven't really thought about. But I can check into that also. And I see that you're talking about Case Construction. They do have a Sourcewell contract. I have not heard of that, but that's not one of my contracts under my portfolio. And that's something that Sarah and I can talk about as we go forward. But that's my guess is we'll see more and more of that electric filtering in, for example, in construction equipment. I do know this is if Case does have that electric backhoe and the loader, and if they have an electric version, most likely they're going to add it to their Sourcewell contract to have that become available. But I can check on that one too, just to double check on that. So, but we also look for information too as we go through this with the Electrification Coalition and whatnot. And if you hear of any of these things, reach out to us and just let us know, because sometimes we miss them, or we can ask some of the awarded suppliers to say, hey, we heard through the grapevine that you're looking at electric construction equipment. Kind of what's your timeline? So
I can kind of chime in on that. I work pretty closely with Case. I do a lot of I work with a lot of their dealers throughout the country, actually, and there is an electric backhoe. It is in the pipeline. I'm not sure of an exact release date and pricing, but if you want to email me, I can get that answer pretty quickly here, would be my guess. If you want to just email me afterwards, I can follow up with you here shortly on that privately about it, because I think I've been asked that a couple different times now, and I know, I've seen it in action. So I just want to double check on that pricing, but feel free to reach out to me individually, and I will gladly assist on that.
that's a great point, Matt, because if you reach out, I think the suppliers will be excited about that, right? That, hey, there's entities actually interested in this, and it'll get them excited about at least releasing that, or giving some tentative release date.
Great, thank you both. Yeah, we haven't focused too much on equipment like that. I know we do have street sweepers, but they are on-road vehicles. So but I know Sourcewell has a lot of different options. I see another question there. I'm just, because I have it up, going to quickly go through just where this is on the website for folks. And also in my follow-up email, I'll have Matt and Mike's contact information too, if you missed it. So this is the website for the collaborative, driveevfleets.org. If you go to offerings here, this is where the light duty offerings are, but if you keep scrolling, where we talk today is where the information is for these types of vehicles. So here you have contact information for the vendors, and then some flyer type information about the different offerings. So this is all here. We'll keep adding contact information again, and different model information as well. So just wanted to show folks where that was on the website. If you're interested in light duty, if you click here, that takes you to where the pricing is for those vehicles. So want to make sure people have a chance to see that. So I will, let's see, I'll start with this next question maybe, and then Mike and Matt, you guys might have more to add. So this person asked if we anticipate electric sweeper prices coming down anytime soon. Yes, the electric street sweeper options are quite expensive. I think that the demand for them has been fairly low, and so once more folks buy them, we'll continue to see prices go down, just like we have for light duty vehicles. But I don't have specific insight into what those two manufacturers have been thinking, but I know Matt can probably talk a little bit about how to make them slightly more affordable for folks too.
Yeah, as far as driving I know anytime it comes to EV purchases, obviously it's something new to a lot of manufacturers. The cost of it is high, and one of the most successful ways, easiest ways to bring the cost of that down is by demand. The more demand there is for the vehicles or the units, it's easier to drive the cost down. So direct answer to the question, I don't know any price reductions in the meantime, if there is going to be, any reduction on sweeper costs, anytime soon, essentially. Obviously, it'd be anticipated that they would, more and more sweepers that they sell. It's easier to bring that cost down. But at this time, I do not know. There's always, kind of what Sarah was saying. There's always unconventional means of procuring it through, different lease programs. There's a lot of different ways. We've had a lot of success in, the HD market when it comes to electric purchases, just because of that cost. That's where we've been getting more and more involved and spending a lot of our focus on. So it is something that we can definitely work together to find a solution on, whether it's a 5-year program, 3-year program, whatever it is, whatever can help get that cost down in the meantime to make it more affordable. So, but answer the question directly, I'm not sure of the pricing coming down anytime soon. Just is because I think it is new and for whatever reason, but we'll definitely keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, and great point, Matt. I think like NCL, Government Capital, is a great supplier to partner with because of how expensive they are. If you take a look at even your electric school buses, sweepers in this case, or even those electric chassis, the price points are quite a bit higher, and the suppliers know that. So maybe if you can reach out to them and just ask them. I do know like a Global has seen their numbers go up quite a bit in entities purchasing electric sweepers. But like Matt, I haven't heard when those prices, my guess is when they sell enough of them, then they can start going down. But that's what we're seeing time and time again. In the light duty, those prices have kind of stabilized a little bit, right? And then some versions have went down. And it's a bigger equipment. These are all going to be brand new rollouts. A lot of them, over the course of a year ago, and then this year and then next year. So some of those price points are going to be a little higher.
Thank you both. There's a question here about special charging needs for electric sweeper, the medium or heavy duty equipment. That kind of information will definitely be in those PDFs that are loaded under each vendor. I can provide a little bit of context though. So like with Lion Electric, for example, the charging ports that are on those vehicles are just a level 3, pretty standard level 3, probably CCS combo charger. And you can also get them with the J1772, same thing, I use for my Chevy Bolt that you can plug into and charge that. But of course it will take a very long time because the batteries are so big. So while the equipment is maybe not, special, there's a lot of consideration around the route that you're using a vehicle on, how much charge you do need daily and what kind of charger you might need. If you do need a level 3 charging, you'll probably have to do some very significant upgrades. So working with the utility, those kind of things. So also can get additional batteries, to swap in and out. That's an option if you have a vehicle that you're running constantly. So just all those things to consider really about how you actually are going to be using the vehicle. So that's other things we can help with, but with these medium and heavy duty vendors as well, they're very invested, of course, in their product working. And so they can also provide really good information on the best ways to charge, or even have charging manufacturers that are their go-to for their offerings. Great, leave it open for any additional questions. Mike, got a good one for you on the refuse hauler. So this person asked, they're interested in an electric refuse truck for their city fleet. If they bought the Lion electric chassis, do we have to buy the Lion refuse section, or are there other options available?
Yeah, that's a great question with Lion. And that ultimately that's where we really got to want to work closely with those contacts under each supplier, because this. My guess is you bought a regular refuse hauler, a refuse truck. There's a lot that goes into that, right? Your options, making sure that body, that electric refuse body fits on that, that chassis. So it's really working with the supplier, going through what options, what bodies may or may not work on a line electric, what ones work better than others for electric for that chassis. So it's really working with the supplier to go through some of those options in what works on that. It's no different than some, Sourcewell does have some awarded contracts for refuse trucks, right? And some, if you reached out to them on their side, would say, yeah, these chassis work better than these other chassis, so to speak, or this electric version is not quite ready yet for the configuration. So it's really working hand in hand with the supplier. Number one, getting them over your specs, right, that you're going to want to use for that refuse truck. So that's an awesome question. But what it does is those contracts allow for that to happen if they can happen. Meaning, can you take A, B, C bodies and put it on that line electric chassis? Those line electric contacts will know that better. I just see another quick question too here. Sarah, have you heard of C Electric? They advertise an Isuzu EV. Yes, we have heard of C Electric. I've talked with them a few times when we do our business development and when we were moving forward with class 4 through 8.
And then Mike, we have one in the chat about Volvo and Mack, if they are on Sourcewell contracts.
Sure. Volvo did have a contract, but no longer has a contract with Sourcewell. They were not re-awarded. Mack does have a new contract. So those class 4 through 8 went roughly about the same time as our school bus did in springtime, June-ish, around that time. So Mack does have an award. Mack will be another one of those that I'm having conversation with when they get their pricing ready to go for the government side. They'll be adding those electric models. They just weren't quite ready yet. So as soon as they are, they'll be releasing that pricing and adding it to their contract. So no on the Volvo side, yes on the Mack side.
Great. All right. Great questions. And any of these things too, happy to talk more with folks about it. You can reach directly out to Mike or Matt. I think we will go ahead then and wrap up. So thank you everybody for your time today. I will definitely share the slides and recording following this, and feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Like I said, I will include everybody's contact information in my follow-up email, and I hope you have a great holiday season.